Hey there folks, I'm Joshua Orro, the Mustang Prince, and welcome to Mustang Prince Orro Reports. Now, as I said previously when I blogged Into the Woods, I have said that fairy tales have been adapted into movies many times, and some studios have made spoofs out of them. For example, DreamWorks did Shrek, the Weinsteins did Hoodwinked, Lionsgate did Happily Never After, and Universal gave us The Seventh Dwarf. But anyway, in my opinion, if there's any studio who knows how to adapt fairy tales successfully, it's the Walt Disney Company. And today, we're going to take a look at a fairy tale movie that parodies classic Disney and takes place in our world. So let's get started. Released on November 21st, 2007, the movie is Enchanted. Now, let's begin. The beautiful maiden, Giselle, is banished by an evil queen from her magical, musical, animated land and finds herself in the gritty streets of modern-day New York. Shocked by this strange new environment that doesn't operate on a happily ever after basis, Giselle is now adrift into a chaotic world badly in need of enchantment. But when Giselle begins to fall in love with a charmingly flawed divorce lawyer who has come to her aid, even though she's already promised to a perfect fairy tale prince back home, she has to wonder, can a storybook view of romance survive in the real world? Well, that's for you to find out. So, what are my thoughts on the movie? Well, I absolutely fell in love with this movie, and it was absolutely nostalgic. But in order to explain why I love this film, let's move on to Mustang notes. Now, this movie is said to be both an homage and a self-parody of Disney's animated features, making numerous references to Disney's past works through the combination of live-action filmmaking, traditional animation, and computer-generated imagery. It marks the return of traditional animation to a Disney feature film after the company's decision to move entirely to CGI in 2004. The animation sequences were produced at James Baxter Animation in Pasadena. Filming of the live-action segments took place around New York City. After Enchanted's success at the box office, it won 3 Saturn Awards, including Best Fantasy Film and Best Actress for Amy Adams. The movie also received 2 nominations at the 65th Golden Globe Awards and 3 Best Original Song nominations at the 80th Academy Awards. Now, in my opinion, the animation sequences in Andalasia look very beautiful. It almost looks like it came from a classic Disney world. Also, the characters from Andalasia are well drawn out too. As for the New York settings, well, to me, it looks absolutely marvelous. After watching this movie again, it almost made me think of the last 2 times when I visited the Big Apple. Also, several actresses and actors who have played Disney characters have made cameos in this film. For example, Paige O'Hara, best known as Belle from Beauty and the Beast, plays a soap opera character named Angela. Jodie Benson, aka Ariel from The Little Mermaid, plays Robert's secretary, Sam. Judy Kahn, aka Pocahontas, plays a pregnant woman with children. And last but not least, Julie Andrews, best known from Mary Poppins and The Princess Diaries, voices the narrator. Now here's where we come to the songs in this movie. And for this film, they were composed and written by Alan Menken and Stephen Schwartz. And it brings back wonderful memories when I got to see Mr. Menken in concert at the Segerstrom Music Hall last year. And it really made me laugh when he said that he can parody his own work. Anyway, the first song in the movie is True Love's Kiss, sung by Giselle and her animal friends while she dreams of her special someone. And later, Prince Edward sings it too. To me, it's a really lovely song, and it's very reminiscent to classic Disney songs like I'm Wishing from Snow White, A Dream is a Wish Your Heart Makes from Cinderella, and Once Upon a Dream from Sleeping Beauty. Next is the Happy Working song, sung by Giselle while she, along with some disgusting New York creatures like rats, pigeons, and cockroaches, tidy up Robert's apartment. While this is a pretty fun song, it feels pretty similar to songs like Whistle While You Work from Snow White, the Work Song from Cinderella, A Spoonful of Sugar from Mary Poppins, and of course, Making Christmas from The Nightmare Before Christmas. Then we have That's How You Know, sung by Giselle while she and Robert are in Central Park. As Giselle sings and dances throughout the park, she is joined by other people in the park, including buskers, a steel band, elderly dancers, Bavarian dancers, and rollerbladers, and she sends 2 doves to deliver some flowers to Nancy. To me, this song is absolutely wonderful, and it's in the same league as other songs like Under the Sea from The Little Mermaid, and Be Our Guest from Beauty and the Beast. Also to mention, when I was in Central Park last year, I saw a bridge that appears in this song. Then we come to the movie's love song, So Close, sung by John McLaughlin. During the King and Queen's costume ball at the Woolworth Building. In my opinion, this is a really beautiful song. It almost makes me think of the Beauty and the Beast song, and the visuals of Giselle and Robert dancing is very magical. Plus, this song brings a tear to my eye every time I listen to it, even during the World of Color show at California Adventure. Finally, we have Ever Ever After, performed by country singer Carrie Underwood. In my opinion, this is the best song in the entire movie. During the song, it shows what happens to our main characters at the end. Edward and Nancy get married and become king and queen of Andalasia. Giselle marries Robert, takes over Nancy's fashion studio, naming it Andalasia Fashions, and becomes Morgan's new mother. Also, Nathaniel writes a book called My Royal Pain, and Pip writes a book called Silence is Golden. Anyway, I think it's time to move on to the cast of this movie. Our main character, Giselle, is played by Amy Adams, who got to be in Night at the Museum 2, Underdog, and of course, The Muppets. Giselle is a girl who ends up almost having her dream of meeting her prince a reality, and she's one of my top 11 other Disney princesses. Out of the 300 or so actresses who auditioned for the role, Amy Adams stood out to Lima because not only did she look like a real Disney princess, but her commitment to the character, her ability to escape into the character's being without ever judging the character was overwhelming. Hailing from Andalasia, Giselle displays similar traits to several Disney princesses. Kevin Lima describes her as about 80% Snow White, with some traits borrowed from Cinderella, and of course, Princess Aurora from Sleeping Beauty. Although her spunkiness comes from Princess Ariel from The Little Mermaid, she's entirely optimistic and romantic, but is also very independent and true to her convictions. Over the course of the movie, she becomes more mature, but maintains her innocence and optimism. Next we have Giselle's chipmunk friend, Pip, who in Andalasia is voiced by veteran voice actor Jeff Bennett. But in New York, Pip is voiced by director Kevin Lima. Pip has no trouble expressing himself through speech in Andalasia, but he loses his ability to speak in the real world and must communicate by acting. To me, Pip is a great sidekick character while helping Edward find Giselle, but sometimes he gets into a bit of trouble with Nathaniel. Next is Robert Phillip, played by Patrick Dempsey, who voiced Kenai in Brother Bear 2. Robert is a cynical divorce attorney who does not believe in true love, happily ever after, or that Giselle understands his daughter Morgan. To me, Robert was okay. I mean, he's not my favorite character, but after he tells Giselle about when his first wife left him, it makes you feel sympathy and explains why he's into reality, unlike me and several other folks out there. Robert's 6-year-old daughter Morgan is played by Rachel Covey. Despite her father's misunderstanding her and telling her otherwise, she believes in fairy tales and believes that magic exists. To me, Morgan is another great character. My favorite scene that she's involved with is when she uses Robert's emergency credit card and goes shopping with Giselle. Next is Prince Edward, played by James Marsden, who has been in films like Hairspray and Hop. Edward is a narcissist and athletic, yet good-hearted prince who ends up confused with the world of New York. The reason why James decided to pursue the role of Prince Edward was because he was more fun, and he responded more to that character. In my opinion, Edward is another great character. I mean, he's very daring, but he can be a tad full of himself, especially when Pip is trying to communicate with him. Next we have Nathaniel, played by Timothy Spall, best known as Wormtail from the Harry Potter film series, including Mr. Poe from the Series of Unfortunate Events, Bayard from Tim Burton's Alice in Wonderland, and Beetle Bamford from Sweeney Todd the Demon Barber of Fleet Street. Nathaniel is a servant of Queen Nerissa, who controls him through his infatuation with her and his own lack of self-esteem. He initially does Nerissa's bidding, but ultimately realizes her true nature and rebels against her. He also has a penchant for disguises when he tries to have Giselle eat a poison apple twice in the movie. Nancy Tremaine is played by Idina Menzel, best known from Rent, Wicked, and of course, Frozen. Nancy is a fashion designer and Robert's girlfriend. She is named after Cinderella's stepmother, Lady Tremaine from Cinderella. Since the role did not require any singing, Menzel said in an interview that it was a compliment to be asked to just be hired on her acting talent alone. In my opinion, since this was the first time I saw Idina Menzel on screen, and I didn't see Wicked yet at the time, I thought that she looked a bit like my Aunt Debbie. Also, Nancy is another memorable character, even though she doesn't appear too much in the film. But at the end, once Giselle falls in love with Robert, she falls for Edward and leaves with him. Finally, we have our main villain, Queen Nerissa, played by Susan Sarandon, best known from the Rocky Horror Picture Show, Rugrats in Paris, Speed Racer, and James and the Giant Peach. Queen Nerissa is Edward's evil stepmother and a sorceress with a hatred for Giselle, simply for being an obstacle for her to keep her throne. Sarandon had been attracted to the project prior to Kevin Lima's involvement as director. Since Susan's on-screen time was relatively short, it only took her about 2 weeks to film her scenes. Nerissa's mannerism, characteristics, powers, and physical features were inspired by such classic Disney villains like the evil queen from Snow White and Maleficent from Sleeping Beauty. Also, in my opinion, Nerissa is a great Disney villain. I especially like when Susan said, "It's always fun to be bad," during one of her interviews. And now let's move on to my final words. Overall, Enchanted is a magical film to come from the House of Mouse. The characters are very memorable, though one doesn't start out as much. The setting in New York is breathtaking. The animation in Andalasia is beautiful, and the songs by Alan Menken and Stephen Schwartz have got to be the most enchanting Disney hits I've ever heard. Also, I've been hearing rumors that there's going to be a sequel to this movie in the future, and I hope it's just as magical as this. So, if you'd like to watch a fairy tale film that parodies classic Disney, then by all means, pick this movie up. I guarantee you that you and your family will love it. As for my final rating, well, I'll give it a full 100%. Well, that's it for today, everybody. Be sure to join me again for my next blog, as we take a look at another enchanting fairy tale. And judging by this book here, I think you'll know what's next. Mustang Power!